Dr. Amen, you are a psychiatrist and a Christian. In fact, you went to a Christian medical school, Oral Roberts Medical School. What's your take on mental health, specifically depression in the church? You hear some church leaders indicating it's a spiritual issue, and if we moved closer to God, mental health issues would be resolved. And then others who say that's really not enough. Medication is in order.
Yeah, when I was at ORU, there was a whole camp of people who said, you know, if you just prayed more, your depression would go away. And when I evaluate people, it's always in four circles. There's biological reasons for depression. There's psychological reasons for depression. There's social reasons for depression. And there's spiritual reasons. So for some people, when they get their spiritual life in order, their mood gets much better. For other people, their spiritual life is in order. They go to church, they pray, they do the right things, and they're terribly depressed because they may have had a head injury. They may have low thyroid. They may have depression that runs in their family. And so to just say it's a spiritual issue will actually make them worse. It's hurting people because they won't get the help they need. But to ignore spiritual issues is to really ignore a very important core component of who we are. So it's not one or the other that hurts people. It's often we need to integrate all four of these circles in order to help people heal.
Not a one-size-fits-all prescription. Well, how does a person know they're depressed? Or how do you know if someone you love is depressed? What are the signs?
Well, you know, it's actually easier in women than in men because with women, they'll tell you, I'm sad, I cry, I'm negative, I have suicidal thoughts, I can't concentrate, and it goes on for weeks. For men, they often won't say they're sad or depressed. They'll just be mad. So they're more irritable, but you'll also see the negativity, the low energy, sometimes suicidal thoughts. And what's interesting, women actually attempt suicide 4 times more than men, but men actually kill themselves 3 or 4 times more than women because they tend to use more violent means. Depression is a potentially lethal problem. So if you have these negative feelings and they go on for weeks, it's time to get assessed. All of us have bad days. All of us have, you know, times when we can't concentrate, we're tired, we feel sad. And even suicidal thoughts are not that uncommon. Study from Seattle said more than 50% of the population at some point in their life had suicidal thoughts. But when they come and they stay and you start to develop a plan, you need to get help immediately.
Well, when you get help, you talk about getting help or getting assessed, where should Christians go?
They should find the best person they can. So a lot of pastors will go, well, you should see a Christian therapist. I'm like, you have a pastor. You need to find the therapist or the psychiatrist who is the most highly trained, that you get along with, that will work with you. So being a Christian psychiatrist, I mean, you know, my first thought is, well, of course you should see a Christian therapist. But, you know, my preference is you see the best therapist you can find and make sure you stay close to the people at church as well.
So when it comes to choosing a therapist, does it really matter if that person is a Christian or not, or comes from a biblical standpoint?
You know, I don't think so. But if you see a therapist that in any way diminishes your faith, you need to move on. But ultimately, you know, think of it this way. If you had a choice between a mediocre contractor who was a Christian or a master contractor who wasn't a Christian, who would you pick? I mean, for me, I'd pick the master contractor because I want the job done right. I think the same thing is true for the therapist. Now, there are many talented skilled Christian psychiatrists, therapists. I belong to a group called the American Association of Christian Counselors. They actually could be a good referral source, but in my mind, you should see the best person possible.
Dr. Daniel Amen, you are passionate about this issue of mental health in the church, and we know you've held seminars on this, and folks can find out more by going to your website, danielamenmd.com. Great to see you. Thanks for your insight.
Thanks so much.